How's it going?
It's going great. It's good to be with you over the internet, as we do these days.
Yeah, it is. It's not to date the podcast, but obviously we're still recording in the middle of coronavirus.
A pandemic, really.
I hope it's the middle. Let me say that, because if
I hope it's the middle too.
I'd be like, oh yeah, the first year. Yeah, that was the beginning.
I know, right? Oh man, but let's not talk about that. We're here to talk about something much more interesting. We're here to talk about aliens, right?
Aliens and monsters, yeah.
Aliens and monsters. I had I was already thinking of the name of the podcast, but I'm going with ScrubMode for this episode.
Okay.
So for the first episode, we're going to be called ScrubMode. And yeah, my goal with this podcast is to just interview my friends, get a different perspective on life, and just have fun. That's what I'm doing it for. I mean, what's the point if it's not fun, right?
Right.
You know what I mean, John?
I absolutely know what you mean.
But yeah, John, you're an old friend from high school, and you are way into monsters and sci-fi and cryptids and all that stuff. I'm also way into, like, you know me, I was big into Bigfoot, not in a weird sexual way like some people do nowadays.
Spoilers, but it's weird because our friendship is somewhat predicated on our love for monsters, because when I joined the school that you and your friend group and now my friend group were at, I tried to befriend you guys because you guys were the guys reading Marvel comics and with horror DVDs.
I have a small confession to make, John.
Yeah?
I have a small confession to make. I was slightly jealous of you in high school.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I thought you were so cool. I wanted to be your friend so bad.
Cool. I wanted to be your friend, too, because you guys were reading Watchmen. You had, Wolfman t-shirts, Creature of the Black Lagoon stuff on. I was like, oh, yeah, these are my people.
Yeah.
Let's hope I don't get rejected, so I'm glad that false confidence worked.
Yeah, okay. Great, but you're here to tell us a story, right, John?
Yeah, I'm here to tell you a story. Let me clarify real quick and say, I love monsters. I desperately want to believe in monsters, but I'm sort of from the...
monsters in the sense of, wonder, right?
Yeah, let me further clarify and say, aliens and cryptids, but,
Yeah.
The older I get, the more skeptical I get, because every time I'm like, man, that's a cool story, wow, and then I dig into it, and it's like, well, the other witnesses didn't see anything, and they later recounted, and the guy who, it always falls apart under close scrutiny, but...
Yeah. But boy, is it spooky when things align.
Yeah, this is, the story I got for you today will not be spooky.
Okay, cool. Is it going to be a little sexy? I think you told me it's going to be a little sexy,
it depends what you're into. But yeah, I don't know whether this becomes its own podcast or a recurring segment on Scrub Mode. My hope is to keep bringing you the dumbest monster and alien stories, cryptid stories.
Yeah, you will be a recurring guest, John. So
great.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what we can do to make that happen.
And maybe if we get brave, we can even dip into some of the dumbest conspiracy theories, because those are those used to be so fun until they became mainstream.
Until they became mainstream and really racist.
Well, they were always really racist, but once upon a time, you could look at that, you could be like, oh, those racist idiots, before you were like, oh no, those racist idiots are running our government.
Exactly. Oh my God.
I mean, maybe the secret is that they always were. But I got a story for you.
Yeah, tell me the story, John.
Okay. You talked about Bigfoot a little bit. Let me toss it to you. What you know about Bigfoot?
What do I know about Bigfoot? I know he's got some big feet. I know he lives in the Midwest to the West Coast. I know he's mysterious. That's what I've gained from him. And he's also really friendly and will probably hang out with you. And Harry and the Hendersons, basically.
Oh man, I wish.
That's my crystallized version of Bigfoot of my childhood. He's friendly and kind of goofy. and like he's your buddy.
There's
That's
a
my Bigfoot. That's the
there's
Bigfoot I want to believe in.
there's a Bigfoot. Do you hear the air quotes?
Yeah.
Researcher called Kwani Lapsaridas that claims that like he's friends with Bigfoot and Bigfoot are interdimensional entities and like Bigfoot just love to toke up and hang out and preach peace and love.
Yeah.
So if Bigfoot is real, I hope that's the Bigfoot that's real. But I
Yeah,
doubt
me
it.
too.
Anyway,
I actually
1955.
believe in Bigfoot.
I want to believe, man, but like I don't know.
I
We'll get
want
into
to
that
believe.
maybe.
Yeah, okay.
1955, Mica Mountain, British Columbia. This dude, a hunter called William Rowe, says that he saw a female Bigfoot, and he was going to shoot it, but it just looked too human as it crossed a valley. This creates a minor media frenzy with lots of people talking about Bigfoot stories they've seen, trying to get a little bit of that reporter dosh, including this dude by the name of Albert Ostman, who in 1955 was 64, but claims that in 1924 he had an encounter with a Sasquatch. Might be a relevant footnote, like Sasquatch history is like the history of the term Sasquatch is kind of problematic. And
I can imagine, because isn't it a Native American word?
Yeah, it is. I've been here for 10 years, so I think saying I'm recently moved up to the Pacific Northwest is a little disingenuous, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know all the tribe names, but it is in fact a tribe name. And until sort of like this 1955 account, when people heard Sasquatch, they thought giant, hairy Native American. So over the course, this is one of the stories that translates it from like a wild man into like a giant ape dude. Anyway, so Albert Ostman was like, yeah, I'm going to go search the Toba Inlet, which is sort of across from Vancouver Island, for a lost gold mine. So he hired a, quote, Indian guide.
Oh my God.
To take him. Yeah, to take him there. And the guide's like, hey, there's a bunch of Sasquatch in the woods. They're big, hairy people. So, like, already, you tell me, already are your, like, suspicions raised?
I'm like, this guy's bullshitting. This guy's mugging with these guys.
Who's looking for gold mines in 1924?
I know, right?
Like, if you were, it's 1955, Tonto the Lone Ranger are on the air. You know, yeah. I'm getting a little bit of an adventure story vibe.
Yeah, a little bit. I am getting that.
Also, to make more suspicions than like half the accounts I found, he wasn't looking for a lost gold mine. He was just hunting or camping or other stuff.
Right. So he was just being out there.
But so like old prospector man dumped in the woods. The Native American guide is like, "Don't worry, bud. I'll be back in 3 weeks. You find that gold mine, white person."
Oh man.
So Ostman sets up a campsite in the middle of the woods, and for 3 spooky nights, he hoists his food on like a pole. I don't know if have you ever been camping? This is maybe.
I've been camping as a kid. I mean, in the sense, I've never been like just I was a Boy Scout, so I went camping like with the Boy Scouts.
I had no idea you were a Boy Scout.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, I was a Boy Scout. I didn't make it very far. I gave up when I started getting into video games.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Boy Scouts, yeah, they're a horrible institution nowadays, I hear.
A lot of problems.
I mean, my experience was positive. I was in there when I was very young. I made a really good friend, and that's all I have to say about that.
All right.
But yeah, boys, I went camping. All to say, I was a Boy Scout. But yeah, I went camping, and my dad's taking me camping. I've gone fishing. You know, I spent a fair amount of my childhood in the California wilderness, you know?
Yeah, so you're
the desert.
I'm going to say, I really love the desert at night because my dad is a big, he wanted to be astronomer.
Yeah, stargazing. Oh, it's beautiful out there.
Yeah. So I think you're actually more of like a wilderness man, a Les Stroud or a survivor man than I am, because every time we went camping, minus a couple of times, it was to Leo Carrillo, which is like cordoned off campgrounds, I think.
Yeah, I did the same thing, dude.
Okay, great.
It was like we paid to be there, but like, you know, it's like My dad, my dad enjoyed it. You know, he was more of a fisherman than anything. He did it for the fishing. You know, like I don't know. My dad would always joke. He'd be like, "I can't believe I paid this much to sleep on the fucking ground."
My mom. So we went with like my mom and all her friends, and a lot of her friends had kids who were my age. So like we'd go and we'd all like play Lord of the Rings. I guess you'd call it LARPing now, but like they'd get they'd have a lot of margaritas and talk shit and have a great time.
Oh man, sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean we all stayed in like a camper later on, so like it was not real. Lots of people tell me that's not real camping, and you know what? I'm gonna agree. Anyway,
it's not real camping, but it can be real living.
So I'm gonna guess neither you nor I have ever had to hoist our food out of reach of bears.
You know, I was in the desert, so not many bears in the desert.
Yeah, and I was on basically a resort, so not many bears there either. But it's a thing you do, right? You hoist it up so bears can't get it.
I've heard of it. I've heard of people putting their food up in a tree to make it really hard for the bear to get, you know?
Well, he did this, and something kept getting into his food. He was really, really mad. In some accounts I found, he blamed his Native American guide, which is...
It could.
I mean, like...
been a raccoon.
Honestly, yeah, that's sort of my... I don't know enough about camping. I'm really, really out of my element with here. But, like, maybe I should have talked to an expert camper before I did this bit. But, like birds, there are birds out there. Crows fly, raccoons fly.
I know, right?
They can get bag.
They can get food. They can get... especially he's not doing it right.
Maybe if you put it in a really tough bag. I'm really just revealing how little I know right now.
Because like, I think I know the proper technique is you gotta pick a branch that's way out there and you gotta hang it from a rope, basically, and so it's like suspended in a space where the bear can't figure out how to get it. But if he's not doing it right, other animals can get it. A squirrel could get in there.
That's actually a really good point. I never considered. I just assumed this was all a lie, but like maybe he just wasn't doing it right.
Yeah, my gut instinct is user error.
Yeah. Anyway, he slept on the ground.
Right.
And on that third night, well, at first he did whatever you do when you're looking for a lost gold mine in a boreal rainforest, and it really tuckered him out. So he fell asleep really hard, only to be awoken, quote, when something snatched up his sleeping bag like a puppy in a paper bag. Which, I don't want to belabor the point, but that saying strikes. I don't like that sentence. He used bag twice. And also, what the fuck kind of saying is that? Were puppies routinely snatched up in paper bags in the 20s?
Oh, God. You know, the 1920s was a horrible time, John.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah, there was a pandemic. There was economic inequality. God, I can't imagine what it was like.
Yeah, it's probably a lot like the 2020s.
Yeah. I made myself sad.
That was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
My life is like the Great Gatsby.
I like to think all our lives are like the Great Gatsby, but
yeah.
my green light across the bay is, you know, tiny pewter men.
Yeah.
Anyway, at first he was like, I've been kidnapped by Native Americans and slung over the back of a horse, but he said he could feel whoever was carrying him walking.
Oh, I see.
Here's
so not a bear, definitely like an ape man.
Definitely. I mean, I assume he means bipedally, but yeah, it sounds like he means an ape man.
I see.
Here's the weird thing. Inside his sleeping bag was a rifle and canned goods, which again, I'm like, I can understand keeping your gun in your sleeping bag. Again, revealing that I don't know a ton about gun safety or camping. Keeping your food in your sleeping bag seems like a bad idea because
then they're attracting the bears.
Yeah, I mean, not so like if you play in this space with me, maybe that's what happened. Maybe the Bigfoots were like, "Oh, cool, sack of free food. It's on the ground now. Let's just take it."
Yeah. And not the bears.
And not the bears.
It was big feet.
It was definitely big. Interesting that you say big feet. Did I spoil that?
What do you mean spoiled? I mean,
Well,
he's got big foot. What's the plural of Bigfoots? Big feet.
I think so. I want to say big feet. I have to tell you in my script it's big feet. But upon doing a little bit of research, Bigfoot researchers were like, "No, big feet sounds too stupid. It's Bigfoots."
Bigfoots.
Bigfoots.
That
Yeah.
sounds even dumber.
You know,
They
that's it.
both sound dumb.
That's it again because Sasquatch is like a misappropriated and stolen Native American word that has been like this is kind of an ongoing thing for cryptozoology where people will tell them a legend and then people are like, it has to exist. So it'd be a little bit like you telling me about Green Lantern and me being like, okay, so let's catch this Green Lantern. Where does he live?
Coast City.
Coast City, and you say he likes fruit pies. Okay, I got a plan. Anyway, so Osman was carried for 3 hours over rough terrain and did not once use his gun on the Sasquatches, which, like, good for him, I guess. And he was eventually dumped out in front of a family of 4 Bigfoots. A dad, a mom, and 2 kids. He described the kids as being frightened of him. The mama foot is being displeased with his presence, and the dad is being, quote, the one I really had to worry about. Which,
was he
like,
super pissed, or?
I mean, like, the way he tells it, he was like, he basically became the family pet. So I don't know. You're gonna see some other like weird little spots of sexism towards the mama Bigfoot here. So part of me is like, is he saying he could fucking fight the 8-foot tall mama Bigfoot, but not the 8-foot tall dad Bigfoot? Or is he just like
they rip his arms off?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, not like Jamie. Could you pull up a picture of a chimp? They'll rip your face off.
They will.
Anyway, so the Bigfoots dump him out, and like the kids are scared of him, but they let him wander around, and he finds out that he's in a box canyon, Halo 1 style, with no escape other than one little crack. And every time he goes near it, the dad Bigfoot scares him away. And keeps telling him the word Soka, which Soka. He spelled it Soka. Don't know what that means. If I had a little bit more time, like I could have maybe have done a little bit of research. Maybe it's a word in one of the Native American tongues there, but I really, really doubt it.
It sounds like a name.
Yeah.
Sounds made up though.
Yeah, You'll see why I'm suspicious. I told you I was skeptical, but I'm even more suspicious of this story.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so over time, Osman becomes friends with the young male Bigfoot, who in some accounts is 6 feet tall, and in some accounts is just a little baby. And he feeds this dude like little snacks that he had in his bag, and they start to get close. He talks about how, once he got used to them, he'd explore the cave, and he saw little baby Sasquatches sleeping in like little carved out dugouts or caves in the side of the basin wall.
I'm imagining little Ewoks.
Yeah. Oh, especially because they allegedly had, quote, blankets woven from cedar bark, which is like, that's some Ewok wood elf shit for sure.
Ewoks.
I gotta say, yeah, go for it.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Just a little baby. I mean, they gotta look like it.
Little baby fur babies. Little baby furry guys.
I'm sure you probably know this piece of trivia, and it might be fake, but like allegedly when they were shooting episode 6 of Star Wars, right, they're in the Redwood Forest in Northern California, they had to have like a big orange vest on Peter Mayhew in his Chewbacca outfit, and like a bunch of guys in orange vests around him so that nobody in Northern California, because like this is sort of like the Star Wars shot sort of like throughout the Bigfoot hype train, but they were worried some hunter was going to be like, it's Bigfoot, and kill Peter Mayhew in the Chewbacca costume.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! You gotta protect Chewbacca from the Bigfoot haters.
We'll like put a pin in shooting Bigfoot. We'll return there.
Would you shoot Bigfoot if you had to?
I mean, like. Okay, yes, but I'll explain why in a little bit.
Okay.
And also, before we go too far, love the smell of cedar bark. That actually, if it wasn't so scratchy, it sounds nice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I love the smell of the forest.
Yeah. Cedar specifically is ooh. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm like, part of me is like, let me tell you the story about Umbaba and the giant from Gilgamesh, who is a big, quote-unquote, ropey-faced giant who guarded the woods. Okay, wait, I found my connective material. Bigfoot researchers try to argue that Umbaba was a Sasquatch and that ropey is a mistranslation of hairy, but that doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
I mean, to be fair, ropey-faced doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I've seen people interpret that as saying, like, yeah, he had a bunch of dreads in front of his face. Or, like,
Ropey-faced.
Yeah, I've seen some really cool, like, artist interpretations of this giant from the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? Where, like, he doesn't have a skull or flesh, and it's just, like, an exposed brain, and that's why he's ropey-faced. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Osmond is, like, becomes friends with the kid Bigfoot. He gives the kid Bigfoot, starts to give him a little bit of snuff. And in return, the kid Bigfoot gives him, quote-unquote, sweet roots.
Sweet roots.
Sweet roots.
It's the candy of the forest.
It's the candy of the forest. I do want to... I know we just finished pausing, but I do want to note how weird it is. I mean, maybe it wasn't in 1924, but Osmond sees a kid and is like, you know what this guy needs? Chewing tobacco. Just giving it out.
Just give it out. Here, chew on this tobacco. Oh, man.
Yeah.
People were dumb back then.
Yeah. I mean, maybe even back then it was a red flag to give a kid chewing tobacco.
I hope so.
Anyway, here's another...
They started young back then.
Yeah, apparently. Here's another, like, weird discrepancy, but, like, in some tellings, he, like, the young Bigfoot never has snuff, and he just, like, force feeds it to him, which is creepy. Like, other times they keep, like, the entire family samples his snuff, and they're, like, really into it, but he won't let them have it for some reason.
Why can't he just give them weed? You know, just give the big feet weed.
They'd be, like, listen to, again, Quanti Labstaritas. They'd be so much happier with weed.
Yeah. I'd like to think that big feet smoke weed.
They gotta, right?
They grow it, they cultivate it out there.
Yeah. So while this is going on, here's another weird thing, is, like, he also apparently observed Mama Bigfoot washing and stacking leaves like dishes in the river, which is, like, that's gotta be, again, just strikes me as, like, weird Flintstone, half Flintstones, half weird sexism.
That sounds so bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so he's like, all the Bigfoot love snuff. I know how I'm gonna get out of there. So a few days later, he, like, goes up to Daddyfoot, and he's like, Daddyfoot, he opens his snuff stand, gives his whole snuff bag to Daddyfoot. Daddyfoot eats the whole thing, and then, quote, fell on the ground, rolling like a stuck pig.
What? A stuck pig?
A stuck pig. Yeah, like, I tried to Google to find out, like, what happens if you eat chewing tobacco, and I only got, like...
You probably get, like, indigestion. You could get stomach cancer.
Yeah, probably, but I don't think it'd, like, instantly knock you out. But maybe it does. I don't know.
I've never tried.
I can happily say I've never tried swallowing chewing tobacco like a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's like, this is my chance, and he fucking was like, all the Bigfoot family went to comfort Dad, and he bolted out of there, and then Mama Bigfoot got really mad at him and chased him.
Oh, God.
But he says he stopped her with one well-placed shot.
Like he shot her?
No, like... In some stories, he never takes out his rifle because he's like, they're too human, I can't shoot them. And in other stories, he's like, it was a rock wall. But, like, again, I'm getting some pulp things of, like, oh, he didn't kill the Bigfoot, he just caused a ricochet on the rock wall, and it scared him off.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, he escaped, and he never told anybody the story for 31 years.
I mean, how could you?
Yeah, until somebody else had a story that was eerily similar. And then he is like, and reporters were around and offering money, and then he was like, oh, I have a Bigfoot story.
That was a great story, John.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. It's not over. So.
God, there's more.
Yeah, I actually excuse the typing sounds. Let me ask you. So, like, do you know who Robert Crumb is?
Robert Crumb?
Yeah,
He's an artist, a comic book artist, right?
yeah, yeah. Exactly. He's one of the
Yeah,
huge comic book.
I remember he was played by a certain actor in a movie.
Yeah, he's
They made a movie of his life. Yeah.
yeah. Or I think you might be thinking of American Splendor, which I think he just did the artist for, but
Oh,
Harvey
really?
Pekar
Yeah, I'm
wrote
thinking
it.
of American Splendor. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Harvey Pekar wrote it, but I think he did the art for it, or maybe I've got it
Right.
twisted.
I know of Crumb though. I know of Crumb. Yeah.
Anyway, so like I said, the story comes out. People are really, really impressed, or not people are, but like the reason I'm bringing this up is R. Crumb has he likes a certain kind of woman.
So do I, and I think we have things in common.
All right, you might.
I don't want to touch on the male gaziness of it all, but yeah.
I mean, we're talking about R. Crumb, and it's going to be
Yeah.
male gazy. But
Oh, God.
here, I'm dropping you a page from. Anyways, R. Crumb was inspired by the story to create his own comic called "White Man Meets Yeti," and I'm just going to drop you an image.
Oh, God.
Never published, but you can go ahead and describe that because the podcast is an audio medium.
Yeah, it's a sexy Bigfoot. And that's how I'm going to describe with my words.
All right. I might add being chained down to a chair so dentists can examine her. And then how about that last panel?
That is weird. I'm going to be like, okay, Crumb, you took it to a weird place.
Yeah. So he heard the story of a Bigfoot kidnapping and got with a lady Bigfoot and got way into it.
Wow. I guess does that make him a furry?
Man, that is a very deep question. Also, like, no disrespect to furries. There's a lot the furry community.
Yeah, I'm not
dealing with Nazis and stuff like that and de-radicalization. That is a good question.
I'm not here to kink shame anybody.
Yeah, we're not here to kink shame anybody.
Unless your kink is Nazis.
Yeah.
The most shame.
So R. Crumb, people who wrote Fate magazine saw this, and I'll describe Fate magazine for you right here because you probably don't know. So like Fate magazine's the longest running US-based paranormal magazine in existence. And it was founded by the guy who founded Amazing Stories, which is a dude by the name of Ray Palmer. Does that name ring a bell?
That's a superhero name if I've never heard one.
They took his name and gave it to the second Atom from DC Comics.
Wow. Yeah.
He wrote all sorts of weird stories. Anyway, he was kind of a grifter, but that's for when we talk more about UFOs. We'll talk a lot about
okay.
Ray Palmer.
Okay.
Anyway, but Ray Palmer or his later colleagues were so impressed by R. Crumb's unpublished Bigfoot story that they had him do a bunch of covers for Fate magazine, a lot like that.
Oh, God.
Can you go ahead and describe the November 2000 issue of Fate magazine, what the cover by R. Crumb looks like?
Sexy Bigfoot has got it going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reads, Bigfoot is everywhere. There is a Robert Crumb
vanishing sorcerer, living mummy, monsters.
You can tell Fate magazine is getting on in years. Just monsters. Yeah. We got spooks. We got boo ghosts. We got monsters. Come on down.
We got the sexy monsters too. We know you like those. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So that's the story of Albert Ostman getting kidnapped by Bigfoot, and then R. Crumb getting off to the story of Albert Ostman getting kidnapped by Bigfoot.
Wow.
Before I put on my skeptic hat and tell you why this is even more sus than we've already described it as, let me just get your initial impression.
Okay.
Thoughts, feelings, comments?
Oh, man. I've learned something, and I'm happy.
Okay.
Thank you, John, for this awesome story.
Yeah.
That led to Sexy Bigfoot.
It it always, I want to say it always leads to sexy Bigfoot, but it doesn't. Cut that.
It always leads to something sexy.
It does. That's just human nature.
Rule 34.
Yeah.
It's just, people are nasty. People are gross and will do things for money. That's what I'm taking from this.
I mean, I don't think money was involved. Our Crumb never published that story, man. That was for him.
That was for him, huh? Yeah. That's for his personal collection.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want you to see this. It's like our Crumb impression.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not meant for human eyes.
It's an indie comic. I can't help but picture him at like an artist alley or something like that. I'm sure he killed it at artist alleys. Like, I don't think he ever would have gone to a big con, but being like trying to sell his Bigfoot erotica, like he probably was not cool then, but he'd fit in nowadays real well.
Oh yeah, totally. Wow. Let's see. Where are we at on time here? Let me check. Oh, we're at a half hour.
All right.
Wow. I think that's an episode.
I'll skip over why it's BS. I think we've thrown enough on it, but like, let's return to, are you going to shoot Bigfoot real quick?
Okay, yeah.
I got some fun
Would you
stuff
shoot Bigfoot if you had to? That's a question I've asked myself also.
And I'm going to say the answer is yes, because you need a holotype.
Yeah, my answer is yes, but I will shoot to wound.
See, that's good. If you can do that, but do you know what a holotype is?
No, what is that?
So in biologically speaking, this is an animal that you shoot and you take back to the museum, so you can be like, this is what a rhino looks like. You know,
oh, I see.
It's physical evidence, and all the other rhinos are based off that rhino. And so when we come back and we bring back another rhino, you can compare that rhino to this rhino and be like, oh, there's actually multiple species of rhino, or not, or maybe rhino just have, sexual dimorphism or whatever. You need a physical copy. You need a physical copy to take back to museums to prove it. Pictures aren't going to do it. Video's not going to do it. Too easy to fake, too easy to Photoshop. Yeah, you need physical evidence.
Physical evidence, that's true.
So, while researching this, I discovered that the first, law that protected Bigfoot on the books came out of my area of the world, Skamania County, Washington, in 1969. This was just 2 years after the famous Patterson-Gimlin film came out, which you're probably, if you think Bigfoot, you think that Bigfoot video.
Yeah.
That's the Patterson-Gimlin video.
One. Right,
There's a reason
right.
that Bigfoot story has a lady Bigfoot in it. Like, the Bigfoot in that is originally Lady Bigfoot. And really? George Rowe's story is a Lady Bigfoot. And this is a Lady Bigfoot. It's a weird meme in cryptozoology where people are like, well, look, it's got boobs. It's gotta be real. Why would I put boobs on this costume? Why would I make up a story about a Lady Bigfoot? It's gotta be real.
You can still be making it.
I think there's funny. There might be some. Go for it.
That's weirdly misogynist.
Yeah. Not to get too far off track, but Colin Dickey has a good book called Unidentified.
Oh, hold on. Just hold that thought, actually.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Ryan just got back to me. He might be able to join us.
Cool.
That's it.
Let's ask. Yeah, if he wants to hop on, let's ask Ryan about shooting Bigfoot.
Yeah.
We'll have to edit out the key punching, but yeah.
Yeah. We'll ask Ryan if he would shoot Bigfoot.
Yeah. We're gonna get in trouble with the Bigfoot researchers if all of us are like, yes, Bigfoot is fake. Bigfoot's fake, but if he's not, fucking murk him.
Yeah. I love that.
Need a body.
Need a body. We need to research on it.
Yeah, well,
dissect it.
It's throughout all the 60s, and even one of the original sources for the story I went to is Boy's Life magazine. I'm not sure which month, but it was the 1980 cover. So in addition to having a big Bigfoot story in it, it had a super creepy clown on the cover.
Oh God.
I think it was designed to appeal to children, but it looked a lot like Tim Curry It before It came out. Same bulbous head and anyway, it's spooky.
I want to talk about D&D,
Yeah,
honestly, and how much I love it.
let's talk about D&D.
how much I want to play it again in person
Yeah, I
someday.
miss it. I mean,
Oh man, don't play D&D right now unless it's over
I'm
Discord.
lucky enough that my roommates play D&D, so I'm playing D&D with them. But
that's awesome.
it definitely.
That's so great. I want that. But yeah, I was playing. We played a little game recently where I was Rohan the Brobarian.
It's too bad Ryan's not here because he was the other player in that game. Yeah, that was a.
Yeah.
I think I told you, but that was a Conan the Barbarian story I adapted.
Oh yeah, really?
Same name and everything. So some of it,
it's so funny.
it just. So, I don't know if I want this out there, but one of my jobs was going really slow, and because they're public domain, you can just read any Conan story. You can find them all on, like, Gutenberg for free.
Oh,
so
great.
I spent a lot
that's
of time
awesome.
waiting for emails to come in or projects to get approved, just reading Conan the Barbarian stories, and like,
funny.
I guess spoilers for 100-year-old short story, but.
Yeah.
Tower of the White Elephant, which is what this D game was, what the story is based on, from this Conan story is based on, is basically like Conan is your typical like fantasy barbarian, shows up in the town, and they're like, he gets hired by the prince of that town to go steal a gem that gives the sorcerer their power, or kill the sorcerer, and at the top, in the middle of the tower, kind of finds out that, oh, this is the statue that's holding the gem. Oh, that's not real. The statue's actually an elephant alien, like a Lovecraftian elephant god who flew in from another dimension. And then because Robert E. Howard, the writer of Conan, was a boy in small town Texas, and even though he was doing his best, it's still a little. He taught people yoga.
Yeah.
And I had to change that for D&D to like good magic, because yoga is not a scary, terrifying foreign word anymore.
Yoga.
Oh no!
You just
low impact stretching and mindfulness. I know, it's a good twist because you're like, yeah, he's a monster. He's not a statue. He's a monster. He's not a monster. He's just a weird looking Lovecraftian alien who just wants to be your bro, but he's been imprisoned and tortured by the wizard for millennia. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a good time immemorial.
So what's your? If we're going to talk about D&D, what was your first D&D character ever?
My first D&D character ever was a half elf samurai named Corvus Karasu, and he was a fighter boy, just out there. Kind of devolved into murder hobos because of my my stupid dumb friends.
I mean, that'll happen.
But yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah.
I used to run a game for. It was essentially babysitting because like the kids would get dropped off at my place, and I was in middle school at the time, and all the moms would just hang out in the next room. But I used to run a game for a bunch of elementary schoolers, and like they devolved into murder hoboing like that. Like it was
immediately.
Instant. Of course, now that
quick, kill it.
I bring you love. Bring this love. Get it.
It's great.
I guess, I don't know. Here's the DM tip: is like have a discussion about the tone of the game before you sit down and play.
Yeah, you could do that, or you could just be a dick. Like my
well, you said it was their first game, so like,
it was their first game, and like, yeah, I remember I was almost part. I guess I'll put this out there, but like, I was almost part of a podcast that still might be in the works post COVID. But yeah, it was a D&D podcast called Drunken Dungeons, and the gimmick was we drink while we play.
That just sounds like normal Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly, but the difference is you're recording it.
You got me there.
But yeah, you drink. Like if you rolled a nat 0, you had a chance to take a shot and re-roll. That was the gimmick of the show. I think it's pretty brilliant.
I've talked about the mothers of my friends like our close family friends' mothers a couple times now because of the camping and stuff like that. But like, obviously, okay, like,
Yeah.
here's how big of a nerd I am. Like during those D&D group campaigns or during those camping trips, I would have like we'd bring dice in our pockets, so that when we were done hiking and playing in the ocean and LARPing, we could sit down for some good old fashioned D&D.
Oh, that sounds great.
But of course, all the moms would come up to us and they'd be like, "I don't get it. So what do you do?" And so, original character, do not steal, TM. Maybe cut this out of the recording. But like, if I could ever schedule it, and COVID has made that an impossibility because none of these people, God bless their hearts, really understand how to use technology. Although this might be simple enough, this Zencaster. Like I'd love to like run these moms through a D&D game, both so they can get it, and because I think it'd be pretty funny, and because D&D is fun, and I've never played D&D, and I don't know, like
it's very fun.
Also, my mom is the kind of person who, like, when a stormtrooper or Rikai gets shot, she's just like, "Oh, he had friends." I'm like, "Mom, he was a fascist.
He was a stormtrooper. He knew the risks.
He was grown from a pod. His only desire is to support Sauron and Saruman and see the downfall of the Third Age." And she's like, "Well, he had friends if he didn't have family." So I don't know.
What? Yeah, he's friends with horrible people.
But at the same time, I think it'd be fun to play D&D with somebody like that, like somebody who's not like. We've both played so many video games, seen so many movies. Like we're huge Evil Dead fans, you know. Like,
I'm not that big an Evil Dead fan, honestly. I like it though. I get it.
The point is, like, it'll be very interesting to see the person who has told me don't do a hit for 30 years.
Yeah,
you know, be like, what? Like, are they going to be like, okay, we have to find a way to talk this Barbitsu or other demon out of doing whatever it wants to do, or if they too will go mad with the power and for the first time in their lives be like,
God, I remember the moment the theater kids started doing D&D, and it's just like I want to roll to seduce the dragon.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I mean, like, so.
I mean, I hear the kink shame right now.
That keeps coming up, man. That keeps coming up.
I know, right?
I don't know.
It's a
again. That's why you want to have talks with your players, right? Because we were playing a D&D game, and I was a paladin, and I had this was 4th edition, so I had the Dragon Slayer subclass. And I was like, "We're gonna fight a dragon. We're gonna fight a dragon," and everybody else wanted to talk the dragon out of it. And I was like, "Come on, let me."
I want to be friends with the dragon.
Let me hit him. And so, like, that would have been a thing where it would have been like, yeah, we're, I don't know. But
I want to tame the dragon.
At the same time, that was an interesting role-playing moment because they had to talk out my paladin of being like, yeah, no, there's a different way to do this. And also, I think we're going to die. And my paladin, because it's a paladin, was like, hey, man, heroic death is better than,
Yeah, I guess.
It was a fun...
I guess if you're playing D&D, it's okay. Oh man, but yeah, I remember I've had like various like projects tied to D&D, and like I touch on it in my other podcast at the Vertice. Check it out. It's I'm just chilling.
Yeah, you got to plug your pluggables.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, check out that if you want to check out something I'm doing. It's a little story about this, and I do want to set a D&D game in that world eventually, into the world of At the Vertice. I think.
Yeah. Do you know what system? Because that's sort of a modern setting.
It would be more closely related to World of Darkness, I think. But it would. I would want 5th edition. I mean, 5th.
Yeah, you got
5th edition. Yeah. 5e. 5e. I want 5e elements too because I love 5e. It's just 5e so bare bones. I feel, they've really got it down to the bare essentials. I feel with 5th edition.
Can you hear that? Do you hear the sound of my neck beard bursting forth from my chin?
I shaved. Okay.
No, I'm about to be like, I actually like the streamlined parts of it because like my least favorite part of any role playing game is like.
Yeah, just mulling up the numbers.
Yeah, especially like in 3rd edition. Like I love so much how in 5th edition you're just like, okay, I can choose
That's for the math kids,
Yeah,
you know. I
even
feel.
math kids like my wife were like, I'm not really interested in the fact that I have to invest for, I can only buy a quarter of a skill point with every skill, so I have to invest 4 skill points because I'm a XYZ in third edition. Like, I'm glad that's gone.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that might be
yeah.
another topic. It's like there in D&D, it's called like, or in role playing games, a lot of games, it's called fluff versus crunch, right? Like, how much of it do you want to have story elements, and how much of it do you want to have rule elements? So there are games where it's
Yeah.
like, you know, and this is not my cup of tea, so I can't name any off the top of my head, but there are games like, yeah,
Yeah.
you can only carry X bullets because bullets weigh this much, and it takes you this many seconds to reload, and the bullets move this fast. So no, you can't
I mean, then you
actually.
get into like video game almost
Well,
like territory, you know? It's like it's amazing how much how people want to pick and choose their stats like
yeah,
that, you
I
know?
mean, like it's. I think like I like one of my favorite stat systems is the FFG Star Wars stat system where it's
Mm.
very fluffy. It's on the other side where your max of a stat is 5, but it costs you experience to buy those stats up.
Hmm.
You know, so
Yeah.
and
I
you have
like
to
that.
buy your
I like that.
skills and class features also with experience. So it's like a trade off of like you only get so much of this at the start where you're going to invest it, and there are various systems in the game where you can be like, oh, if I am I'll just keep it simple. I don't need to explain 3.5 different game systems, but one of the core mechanics of Edge of the Empire, which is like your Han Solo, your Mandalorian type stories, is every character has an obligation, which is a, you know, it's a percentage thing, and it's like something you got to do that's like coming into your life and messing with you. So this can be anything like from an addiction to a family member back home you got to feed to a bounty on your head to just like, yeah.
That's
And
interesting.
so you
Yeah.
can,
I remember the system that I'm
yeah,
working on. And I want to throw some
yeah,
ideas out at you because I was thinking of just having like a difficulty
mm-hmm,
system where it's like really easy, easy, medium, hard, very
yeah,
hard, and it's like those are the difficulties, and each of those is like units of
yeah.
5. Like 5 is. I guess no. I guess 1 would be easy. No, 1 would be very easy. 5 would be, I guess, would be the next one. Then maybe 10, 15, 20. I'm thinking would be 20 would obviously be like I might not have my
Yeah.
numbers right. But yeah, I don't.
I mean, I'll pitch you this
Oh
again
man.
because Tarot inspires so much of your system. There's a
Yeah.
miniatures game called Malifaux that instead of using dice for random number generation uses cards because it has an Old West feel. So I think
Oh.
there's a, I mean, like,
Yeah. I was thinking of doing that. Yeah. Like I remember in World of Darkness it's more of a
yeah,
D10 system where like you have points and each point corresponds with a
mm-hmm,
D10 and you roll. One of my characters in this system. His name is Bart the
right,
Bard, and like he was a pure charisma build, so to speak, in that system. Even though they don't really exist,
yeah,
but they do in a way. He's basically like running on. He was really good at life magic and like a couple other
mm-hmm,
ones. I don't remember. It's been so
yeah,
long since I played that game. But it was so much fun. But anyway, you roll like wits and perception for that would be like a perception check,
yeah.
and it would be 2d10s, and 8s and above were successes. 10s you could re-roll and get another success potentially.
I can't remember what system it was, but that does remind me of a system where they're like, all right, if you have wits and perception, you get a
Yeah,
bonus to these skills just because, like, if you're witty and you're good at seeing things, then like you'll be really good at this.
yeah, yeah. Perception. It's basically the same as a
Yeah.
perception roll in 5th edition. Where you roll a d20 and you add your base perception stat, which could I always put the 5 at the start of games because I want to. If something happens, I want to see
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
Yeah,
like, I guess here's another hot pro tip: is like, yeah, always get perception because that's the skill you're almost like.
yeah,
I mean, like it varies from DM to DM, but that's probably the skill you're going to be using the most, and it will probably save your life at least once. Like, you want to notice that tripwire or that pack of goblins waiting in ambush. Although at
yeah,
the same time, maybe
exactly.
here's another hot tip: make a character that's bad at perception and roleplay it. Like, weak characters.
Yeah, see how dumb you can be.
I mean, honestly,
to skate
honestly
by.
though, like weak characters are the most fun to play because then you're like, here's my weakness, and it gives your DM something to work with. Where it's like, low strength, afraid of
I
water.
like
Well,
that,
I'm
yeah.
gonna make the thing this character needs to complete their personal quest. 100 sessions in or
Yeah,
whatever, on the other side of a body of water, underwater, and they've got to overcome those fears. And it's got to overcome those bad stats to, I don't know.
I did it. I learned to
Yeah,
swim.
exactly. But like, I don't know. Like, if I wanted complete story arcs and character motivations, I would just write this rather than making it a campaign, right? Like, you never know what your dumb players are going to do. But I'm a big advocate of like making characters with deliberate flaws, both mechanical flaws and personality. I don't want to say personality flaws, but you know what I mean. Like, I really love
like
playing
character
a character.
flaws, just quote unquote.
Yeah. Quote unquote, thank you. Yeah, like I really love playing a character, and I really love seeing my players play characters that have room to grow. Like, not to throw another. Here's your dumb nerd bingo card, but like in Lord of the Rings, I think one of the coolest, one of my favorite relationships is like Legolas and Gimli, and how they both started out kind of racist towards each other, and then become besties.
Yeah.
Also, it's easy to hate elves, so if you need a crutch, hate elves.
Yeah, elves sucked. Yeah, one of my favorites was always goblins. I played I think my second character was a goblin, a hobgoblin actually. His name was Mongo.
Mongo's a good hobgoblin. I gotta retract that. I say I like elves. I like elves just fine.
Yeah, elves are cool. I mean, Legolas is cool. It's just cool to hate on him.
I really like the. Here's another bingo card. I don't know if you know much about like the Warhammer fantasy universe, but like.
Yeah, a little bit. I know the elves in that universe are kind of like Nazis, basically, aren't they?
That's a little harsh, but like they're like they're God, this is going to be unlistenable too. But there are 3 elven races in Warhammer, right? Because there's a big elven civil war. So you got your high elves, who are like, we're based on a mix of Atlantis and the British Empire. So, we're
yeah.
And then you have the dark elves.
We're super snooty elves.
Hey, in Warhammer Fantasy, there was a rule where goblins had to roll a morale check before charging elves because elves smell so funny. Goblins were just afraid of elves because they stink.
Yeah. That's funny. They stink to them.
But like the coolest elf subfaction were the wood elves, who like were elves.
Yeah, they were always the coolest. Like the lynx.
Yeah. I mean, and in Warhammer there were elves who were like, I hate the Civil War crap. We're gonna get lost in this magical wood and stay there, and then we're gonna team up with the tree spirits to fight anybody who comes into the woods. And now you've got all these sub factions where there are elves who are like, I don't want to be an elf. I want to become one with the tree. You got elves who are like, we've made a terrible mistake. We've sold our eternal souls to an undying tree. We're never going to make it out of here. And then you have wood spirits who are like, oh, I love the elves. They're my best friends. And then you've got tree spirits who are like, the biggest mistake we made was letting the elves in here. The woods have really gone to crap since we let the elves in here. Yeah.
It's funny. Oh man, I love the idea of elves. In my fiction that I make when I think of elves, I think of mountain elves. Like the elves that live like up in the north, and like and they're I guess they're closer to Fae in that sense, but they're basically Klingons of the forest. Like that's my crystallized version of what elves are.
Yeah, for it.
Yeah, that's my fiction of elves.
There's they're not elves, but you're in the mountains thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the book like In the Name of the Wind?
No.
Or The Name of the Wind. It's by Patrick Rothfuss. It's a pretty good fantasy title. It's about like a young bard wizard trying to find mysteries to the weird fey creatures that killed his family. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's really good. Oh man, this is.
I gotta check that one.
It's legit real good. It's the first
Is it on Audible? Are we plugging Audible now?
I'd love, if we are successful enough to start plugging anything for this podcast, I'll be super happy. We'll make more. We'll make a podcast just devoted to monsters. We'll make a podcast just devoted to like D&D tips and tricks. We'll do 3 podcasts if we hit that.
Yeah.
Shoot, but there's a race. They're not elves, but there's a race of mountain people who are like really, they're like sort of like Spartans, half barbarians, half monks, who are just like, actually the closest I can put it is like, now that Mandalorians are in the consciousness, is like,
yeah, they're like warrior people.
They're warrior people, but they have their own really, really strict codes, and they have a matriarchal society.
Ooh, Mandalorian versus Klingon, who'd win?
Mandalorian, man, we're gonna make everybody mad with this question. I think Mandalorian, because he's got a disintegrator rifle, and Beskar is, I don't know what Beskar does to phasers, but like Star Trek's got a lot of weird fantasy stuff.
It does, doesn't it? Oh man, I know. So I've heard of people role playing in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah,
I know that's a thing. I know that's
Of course, there's a Firefly role playing game.
Oh man,
it might actually still be in print.
That's funny.
God, I wish I could remember the name of these people or their catchphrase. Again, this is bad radio. You're gonna have to cut all this.
Okay, I'll cut it.
We'll see where it goes. We'll find it in the edit, just like Suicide Squad. And everyone knows how Academy Award winner Suicide Squad turned out.
Yeah, everybody loved that movie. Oh man. Okay, I think I'll call this one. We've almost reached a half hour.
I mean, that's an hour together. Can always talk about more D&D, more monsters and aliens.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm looking around my room. I'm seeing an old video game that I made a let's play of.
Yeah.
That never saw any light, but it's Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, I love Shadow. Yeah, I recently played that.
Oh, it's so great! I have a PS4 too, so I've been playing the updated version, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I bet.
I love that.
It's gorgeous.
It's so great. It's such a great game.
Okay, yes. So I've remembered it. The name of the people are the Adem, or maybe the Adam, ADEM. And like their "this is the way" catchphrase is "it is of the Lithani" or "it is not of the Lithani." And so when cons happen again, I think it'd be fun to dress up like a bunch of those guys and just go around being like, yes, hot dogs are of the Lithani. Or be like, cotton candy is not of the Lithani.
Not cotton candy, no sweets.
I don't know. I guess maybe we should record an outro or something as well, but
yeah, let's see here. Thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast.
I'm happy to make the alienate and appreciate story a regular fucking D&D thing right there.